Parimal sir and Dr. Dhananjay and Professor Ajay Patnaik and Dr. Uma and students. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think the topic we are discussing today, I think each and every hour is changing actually. Now suddenly while we are discussing, we come to know where some news are coming saying, the Russia is willing to talk to the Western countries. They're willing to have a negotiation. So we don't know because this is so much happening where yesterday you can see the Indian, there is a allegation and counter allegation where Indian students are criticizing the Ukrainian government saying they're using as a shield. They're not allowing to come to India. There are many things, allegation, counter allegation, which Ukraine said yes, when Russia said yes, no, things are happening. So because these issues are happening such a fast level, such an intense way, I think the war is actually in the two front. One, if you see the actual war is happening in Ukraine, and another thing is the information war actually. It's successfully waged by, if I said, the international organization, the media houses, and the social media and everything, which we witnessed yesterday. Whether the large number of news we consume today, it's very disappointing to see leading Indian newspapers were quoting saying, there is a 7,000 Russian soldiers have died actually, which is not true. But their newspapers not willing to clarify where they get the sources, what they get, where they getting. No one knows actually. But they said, from why? Because if we said consistently the news which coming from Ukraine, which is neither being reliable or not, it's not biased, because we see it only apart from very few news outlets, the news being we getting, it's kind of okay, but most of the news we are receiving in India, it's completely, whether it's from, we're taking it from the US or somewhere else. So in that sense, it's an information war being successfully waged to create the perception about what is going on in Ukraine, where you can see these last 6 days. Now, I don't want to go into this because Professor Patnaik is there, Uma Shankar is there, many people will be, Puma Purushottam is there, many people there. So I thought I will speak on what is actually going on in the currently. One is say the war have three basic perspective, two perspective. One, the battle of perspective and what is actually happening. One, the perspective of war in the first day itself said the projection of a Ukrainian president as a lovable, courageous man who's standing. You can see that there has been video of him standing in front of some building and saying, I am here, the minister is here, everyone is here. Then suddenly photos appear where he is sitting with the soldiers. But later next day, some people are debunked and saying, the photos we are seeing, it's already been taken from the last year actually. But it's been widely circulated in the media. It's, even though it cannot be said the false news, because people are sharing it completely. Even the most reputed US foreign policy thinkers and strategic thinkers, administrative people. So we don't know actually. So later, slowly, the first day perspective change. Suddenly the perspective saying, Russia is not advancing, when Ukraine is resisting. But we know suddenly Russia is going and taking many important places, they're occupying many important places. When the question came, suddenly saying, when the Chernobyl was taken by Russia, suddenly there is a widespread rumor going on, or suddenly the nuclear radiation is increasing. Russia is unleashing the nuclear war. Such an intense campaign going against Russia one side, and Russia is also waging a war. So the war one side we are waging in the battle, the ground with the war, the weapon, the modern weapon of cyber attacks and cyber technology being used in this war. We can also, there is one more important aspect, I think, which not been discussed much. While we are using, it's international, the multinational companies like, even though end of the day it shows, this Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Google, Apple, even though it's an international multinational organization, they should supposed to provide for the customer. End of the day, it shows they are US company. They will do what the US government is saying. It shows, if you don't agree with what we are saying, you will be banned from international level. Actually, that is what they're doing. But this is not the case. What is happened in the past also, where the case of where there is a war going on in Yemen, hardly people talk about it actually, and also it's also showed how we are completely depending on such international situations where the financially the West is in the what is it? It's a name of cashless economy in the digital world, how digitally they've been controlled and been taken by this hostage of this thing, where they can cut out anyone. If it is today Russia, then tomorrow this thing. And there is a consistent attack on people. Yesterday also there is a consistent pressure, not only put on Russian government, where the Biden, when they started saying, we expect the Russian people will speak, and they say we are banning, the Russian oligarch money in Europe and other places. But when you when you look at the other side, they're banning the actual Russian athlete and Russian performance and Russian media movies, and even the former Obama administrative staff saying, if the Russian citizens are not with us, they're against us. This is what the George Bush said. He said, you take a position against your government, you have to take. So what will happen? End of the day, you go to jail. So let's go to jail, but they stand for principle. This not been many things been discussed actually. Even there is a news about, suddenly the news about, NATO sending troops to Ukraine to fight. But later the same day, the Poland leader said, no, we are not going to send any troops to war. We are not going to send any troops or transferring any war weapons to Ukraine, which been completely Indian media said they are going to send. But again, the international media not saying, the foreign minister exactly say we are not going to do. So this kind of dilemma we are facing in international situation, because the media houses, the social, mostly we are going through social media, but the social media houses, even the official Russian government channel were banned actually. You cannot watch it, anything. So this is what the war been waged actually. Another important aspect about this ongoing one, everyone say why India is suddenly taking this kind of position. Why not? India should stand for principle and democracy. But no one is saying what China is doing. China also took a position actually. If China, no one writing any article why China is abstaining is good, why India abstaining is bad. Because everyone thinking China abstaining will be weaken Russia and China. I mean, India abstaining will be, say it's weakening the principles actually. But same India took the abstent in the ongoing Yemen war. He said, okay, we are not going to interfere in Yemen war because, we have our own interest in the Saudi Arabia, our oil, our workers, so we're not going to position. That time, no one talked about moral or no one talking about democracy. So that's why there is a consistent pressure on the media houses and Indian public people, particularly perspective to create against, how this been waged the war, where showing, India is actually standing against the principle and democracy and aggression. But that is not the case, where India in historically taken many stands like the abstaining rather than not voting. Not only now in 1955, when the Yugoslavia thing happened, India did not take it. India was abstain rather than voting against anyone. And one of the most important aspects I have to wind up first, the perspective about within the US actually, where there is a far-right organization, even many people saying, Biden is waging this war against Russia because of Biden's son. It was during the election campaign also happened in US presidential election, saying Biden's son invested money in Ukraine. Whether it's a conspiracy theory, one has to discuss. But even within the conservative section, they are not very happy. They are not very happy as they seems to be actually about US involvement. And finally, when there was a there is a myth was created saying, Indo-Pacific is the new NATO, where India is going to be this thing, pushing, saying, India should be go with the Western world to counter China. But India is maintaining, neutrality. Yesterday, the Biden speech, the State of the Union, where he mentioned China only twice, where he mentioned Asia only once, where he mentioned Russia 18 times. That shows, he not even mentioned once Indo-Pacific. That shows, the priority they're giving over what their interest actually. So in this situation, this has not been, reported, where Indian external minister said, this is entirely completely nonsensical argument comparing NATO with Indo-Pacific. So the consistent information war, we are being waged on in the social media and everywhere. We don't get any neutral news. So what is going on in Ukraine? It's a war, one side waged by Russia, then another side. It's a financial, information, and the social media war controlled by the US-based company. They're waging a war against Russia in a certain way, which we don't have any access to have the actual reality, what is going on. This is what I want to talk about in the current issue. I don't want to discuss more because they are more expert in this thing to talk about. Thank you very much.